afternoon, everyone. Great. Good to know that there's an audience in the room. So we're very happy to be here, and thank you, HirePro, for getting all of us here for this very interesting and very, very timely discussion. So I'm very happy to welcome each one of you to Momentum 2026. And I remember I was here in 2024, and if I'm not wrong, it was revival of Momentum because there was a break, right, Anshuman? And then we started off, and I remember I was very much there on one of the roundtables there, and I remember the kind of engaging speakers that were talking about Gen AI. And at that point in time also, there was a construction happening outside this hotel, and today also the construction is still not complete. And our discussion from Gen AI still remains on AI, and I still know that all of us are still evolving to realizing the potential and the power of AI. So what we are here, we've given a task to debate on a topic which is reimagining talent and evaluation or assessment in AI-enabled workforce, and we have exactly 35 minutes. I've been told that we're running late. We'll try and conclude in this 35 minutes, and we're fundamentally rewriting the playbook for both educators and employer. So to understand the scale of what we are dealing with at macro level, we only need to look at the latest global industry data, and I'm talking from McKinsey's State of AI 2025 report, where they say corporate AI adoption has surged significantly with 88% of organizations now regularly using AI in at least one business function. And the other report by World Economic Forum, again in 2025, 37% of young workers around the world are currently in entry-level roles with a medium to high exposure to AI-driven disruptions. So, and we all know that it is scaled, the AI absorption, and it is executing tasks at a level that we never anticipated. This brings us to a critical crossroads for our universities, which I've been told is a major part of our audience, and to our hiring managers, the other part of the audience. Traditionally, when evaluating entry-level talent, we would like to restrict our discussion to entry-level, considering we have academia here. An organization relied heavily on deep academic performance, specialized theoretical baselines, but today AI can write clean functional code and run complex diagnostic simulations or optimize blueprints in seconds. The exact task we traditionally assign to entry-level hires to prove their technical competence are being rapidly automated. So the fundamental question for our esteemed panel here today, and I'm talking of computing all the experience in the panel here, so we're talking of 100 years of experience, and we'll bring in that experience, and I would like you to please be glued into the discussions or a dialogue that will be shared, because I'm sure that's going to be pearls of wisdom by the experienced folks in talent acquisition. How is AI changing what organizations actually value when they hire talent, specifically at the entry level? So if base technical execution is commoditized, what becomes the new premium? But before we begin, I would like to make an ice-breaking question to all the panelists in terms of by asking, what is one thing that is not there on your LinkedIn profile? And what is your favorite AI tool that you use on daily basis? Quickly, we can start from you, Megha.
I think the number of active hours that I spend on LinkedIn is not showing there. And one tool that I use is the Copilot in Microsoft. So that helps absolutely to arrange all my important emails on top, which I need to take action when I'm out like this.
Super, Vishal?
What's not there on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I think if there can be more collaborative or interactive with the audience out there, that will be great. In my profile, I do a lot of data analysis, so I use Claude like all the time.
Awesome.
In a day, twice I finish the limit for Claude also. That's what.
Ambily?
Yeah, you'll have to call me biased, but Google Gemini, I think day in and day out, it's a tool that I use. And most recently, Notebook LM, and especially the feature called Audio Overview. It basically automates all your day-to-day content together and brings it to you in a podcast, conversational talk type. And I think for all of us who live in Bangalore and spend so much time on traffics and, like Neelav said, on flyovers, it just helps me to listen to these podcasts. So Google Gemini and Notebook LM, that's one tool.
Super.
Well, what's not on LinkedIn, I don't know. The number of people I try and follow, I think maybe that's not captured. But yes, of course, loyalties to Microsoft, it has to be co-work. I think that's definitely a tool that's helped streamline so much and make things so much more simpler and faster. So yeah, definitely a new favorite.
Ruksa?
On my LinkedIn, I think just because LinkedIn has become this place that everybody is connected with everybody, so I would say my actual network is not on my LinkedIn. It's on my phone, probably through contacts. And just like everybody else, we have our own AI. So I use Abby, which is ABB internal AI. This is more for official purposes, but I'm very regular, like everybody else. For personal tasks, I am into still ChatGPT.
Awesome. So now we know, let's dive into our first discussion topic of our panel. How is AI fundamentally changing what organizations value when they hire talent, especially at the entry level? To give you a context here, global studies state that new tasks added to the AI exposed roles are 2.5 times more likely to rely on human skills like judgment and creativity. Vishal, I would like to begin with you from a perspective from tech and services side.
What you're asking is like how organization is primarily looking at the early talent. From someone like who is hiring talent acquisition point of view, primarily leading, especially in terms of company thought process as well. What we see early talent consumption point of view, the layer or the entry level bar probably has increased far what we were seeing two or 3 years back when there was a lot more discussion after COVID as well. The requirements, jobs, still there, but what we look for now in early talent primarily is someone, the majority what we used to find earlier 2 to 3 years experience as well. More emphasis is on judgmental, someone like who can have a higher reasoning skill sets, someone like who can think it through, someone like who can articulate the problem statement and look for the solutions also, instead of those hard skills which are primarily being filtered through the normal assessment tools what we have been given or like what we are revealing right now as well. That's a fundamental change. A few months back, one of my business leader also came and it was very profound input that he mentioned that in near future, I won't be hiring based on development skill sets. I will primarily hire those who can think it through, who can articulate clients' issues, and come back how do they want to basically deal with that. But in my function, we may not be able to prepare how we evaluate that very, very fundamental level. That's where we are dealing with the issue. But I think the nature of the job, the nature of the expectations have changed fundamentally, and it is not going to go back to the original level.
Awesome. So Megha, with your experience with Oracle, JP Morgan Chase, and PwC, what is your take on this?
I think this is a very important question that what is organization really looking for when we use the word value, and I want to address this because in this room, I think many of you are looking for that answer from an organization perspective. Earlier, the question when we were as a recruiters talking to the business leader was, what can the freshers do? So there used to be a list of activities which used to be basic technical activities or execution that we used to say, if this is the work, let's get the freshers, let's get the entry-level talent. Now the conversation is changing. The entire goalpost or the value proposition of a fresher has been changed by the evolution of AI. And now the question that we all are supposed to answer for the freshers is, how can they bring the critical thinking? Are they able to learn quickly? Can they frame the problem statements correctly? If the problem statement is solved, right, are they really looking at the solution from an ethical point of view or from an outcome point of view? So these are the questions that are coming where the focus is moving from the technical execution. So I think that's where, from an academia perspective, we will need more of your help, because the technical execution baseline has become the baseline. It's not the differentiator anymore. So each hire that we are looking now has to look for the differentiation that Vishal already mentioned. So the curiosity, can they think critically? Can they learn faster? Can they implement AI tools? How are they bringing that differentiation? I think that will be difficult, and this is what we need to solve together.
That's great. I remember a discussion with our CEO wherein he mentioned in terms of before coming to me for asking of numbers of position to be open, first BU heads needs to let me know in terms of how best are we deploying AI to do that kind of work, and then start looking at those numbers. So we do understand that when the machine can execute the task, the human premium lies in deciding what task to execute next. So let us take this thought forward into how we actually measure this potential. So my next question is to Ashwini from Microsoft, wherein we are saying for decades, grades, ranks, and pedigree served as proxies for potential. With grade inflation, exam-related controversies, and AI democratizing access to knowledge, can employers still trust these traditional metrics? Or is it time to redefine how we identify talent?
Thank you, Alvin. And I think this is a question that a lot of us in this room ask ourselves as well as each other around, to say, how do we measure talent and how that's evolving? We all talked about how AI is evolving and how AI is replacing it. But I think what stays and what rather should stay at the fulcrum is the absolute bare CS fundamentals. There is a great deal of AI that can get embedded into a curriculum, or agentic behaviors can be encouraged within the student cohorts, which I'm sure a lot of the institutes are today driving across. But I think the one piece of how and what will still and should remain at the fulcrum of all the assessments is just the core CS fundamentals, just the core basics of, I know Megha spoke about creativity and critical thinking and growth mindset. So in this entire cloud of AI, I think the differentiators will be, very simply put, just how our candidates and the talent today, especially the early talent, is able to build using creativity, a growth mindset, critical thinking, and just human ingenuity at scale, right? I think that's what people are saluting to today as organizations, and that is the differentiator today. So yes, it is going to be the bare, authentic skills first, superimposed with what today and what's changing today from the industry point of view.
So Ambily, you at Google, how are you moving from knowledge testing to true reasoning for this early talent?
Sure, and I just wanted to add on to what Ashwini said. I think grades and ranks are going to become static in the future. At Google, I think we'll continue to, assess our candidates based on structured, behavioral, and hypothetical questions. This is known in the industry. So I don't see a transition that's going to happen from there. But personally, I believe that we will also emerge into a space where there will be a more scientific way of evaluating candidates through, say, online assessments. The other shift that I also see is, when a candidate comes for an interview, how we assess them during the interview is through asking them questions. But I feel that going forward, we will just offer them a blank screen and then, have that, captured with a whole lot of codified databases and provide them an AI assistant to help them review the AI fluency of those questions, right? So I just feel that assessment will also progress to an AI assistant providing assistance to the candidate during the assessments. So I see that shift happening too, in addition to what just Ashwini mentioned.
And I think it is fair to admit, to acknowledge the fact that all of us are transitioning the way we view the talent as of now that is coming from colleges. And I think the problem or the answers is not lying anyone, even in corporate or the academia. And that's exactly where the major handholding or handhold or a shake hand needs to be done between academia. And we need to co-create the talent that we would like to absorb in the industry and the one that you groom at the academia level. So this brings me to my third question to the panel. And Ruxar, I would like to take your pick on this. The question is, if AI is becoming a co-pilot for every employee, should organization redefine top talent as those who can best harness AI, learn continuously, and adapt faster than change itself? How should this influence our hiring strategies?
So I think quick take is if you would have asked this question 1 year ago, 1.5 year ago, at that time, everybody, when we were evaluating candidates, we were running away from candidates who were using AI. Why is this candidate using AI in the interview process? Can we figure out if the answers are more AI generated, etc.? But now if you look at our hiring strategy, and I want to give you something very basic, and you'll keep hearing these things in every conversation because we are having this conversation every now and then, that up until few months ago, it was uncertain, not few months, but probably a year ago, it was uncertain on what to do with our hiring strategy. Where is the organization heading? But if you look at large organizations, small organizations, the first thing in the hiring strategy is to look slightly forward and see what are you exactly looking for, not immediately, but also in near future. What are your immediate skill capability requirements? What are going to be your future requirement? You can't now figure out, I have a 5-year hiring plan. You know, the world is changing within few months. So one is your workforce skill projection, capability projection is where the hiring strategy is going to play. The other thing is that in last few years, organizations have realized that we need to move away from the college degrees, the pedigree, the number of years of experience, you know, the categorization that we mainly still have in job descriptions, but organizations are slowly shifting to a skill first, and you'll keep hearing this in every conversation, skill first, reskilling. Organizations are now realizing that what someone brings to the table also comes from their, let's say, experience, continuous learning, like you rightly said. So second would be probably focusing more in the hiring strategy, that as a talent acquisition or as HR conversation should shift gears from software engineer to a more capability driven job descriptions, that these are the skills that I need as an organization. These are the skill focus hiring that I need to do in near future. This could come from someone who has never done, let's say, coding, but can figure out coding through assistance of AI, for example. So moving into more skill competency. And one thing that you very rightly said, people keep hearing this, that it is important that we hire or look at people, or our strategy includes AI as fundamental as Excel. You know, in few years from now, I think you'll keep hearing this, that we always ask MS Office, right, from people, from freshers, for example. AI is going to be that very soon. That, you know, you have a whole portfolio of how do you work with AI, how quick are you with the changes, how do you leverage AI in your day-to-day work. So very soon we're going to shift gears in the hiring strategy, moving from Microsoft Office, let's say, to a more AI kind of skill category. I would say as a talent acquisition leader, I would more focus on, when I'm probably developing a hiring strategy, into someone who's more agile, skill-wise also, learning-wise also, agility-wise also, let's say, in every sense. So when I say agile, it would mean that I have these skills today, but I may need different skills tomorrow. And that applies to me, that applies to all of us. That,
sure.
You know, we've been following, just earlier today, somebody sent this Instagram reel to me, and I take knowledge from Instagram also, by the way. So it's talking about people who are coming from zigzag careers, non-linear careers. Right? So somebody who's been into product, operations, and then, you know, something else. And it was an example of somebody getting hired for a Microsoft business unit, and that leader had come from a zigzag career, not coming from a very linear function. And why people will start getting attracted towards those candidates would also be because they will have a broad spectrum of skill, right? So it will again become skill focused, but broad spectrum of skills. So these are few areas that immediately come to my mind that can shift in the hiring strategy from TA or organization point of view.
Very interesting take. So Vishal, how do we practically map this learning agility that we see in the entry-level roles?
Like what you want to know, especially that how we are measuring, especially the learning.
Absolutely, in terms of when, you know, the things we have to redefine the top talent, when everything is constant with the use of AI and everybody is using that.
Yeah.
So how are we going to redefine what top talent will look like in the organization?
Yeah. No, I think I'll just connect to what Ruxar also meant, as well as Ashwini said, because a couple of years back, this fact was there that those candidates, those students who are using AI should not be, or should be kept out of the process also, because this was very kind of taboo. Now what we are shifting is, even though you are using, because internal organizations are also using varieties of AI tools.
Absolutely.
So why not let them use it and come out with their creativity while using those AI tools as well? Because in their profession, in their profile, we will be giving those tools anyway, exposure point of view. So while using that, can you still show, because we are no more fighting on that, okay, whether you're using it or not. Now, while using that, can you still show that you can think through, can you really put your mind to those hypothetical situations, what you will face in the organization? So that's one area where we are looking at it. And then again, how you will grow into the organization too. Zigzag point is very important, because we are no longer hiring only for set standard skill sets only. In last 2 years, or those skill sets, those hiring which we used to do 2 years back, we are no longer doing that at all. So when as a TA leader, I myself not sure what I'll be hiring after 2 years, then how do I vouch or like look for those candidates who are betting their career that, okay, we will continue to do that. So important part remains for me as someone like who's assessing talent is, can you really evolve? Are you really adaptable? And also, can you face the challenge in terms of unpredictable, uncertain environment too? Sometimes there are a lot of external factors which impact organization. There are a lot of restructuring happening too. Inside the workforce, like this point is just mentioned that, okay, how do you see your workforce, your internal preparedness to face those business challenges? Are you really prepared? And then probably you will start assessing the talent accordingly. So it's changing so fast. The fundamental skills, the soft skills remain very, very important. And that will give me some sort of certainty that yes, if this person is capable enough to learn and unchange, maybe that will survive from the agility point of view as well.
Great points, actually.
Can I add one
Please,
example?
please.
So I just wanted to add an example to all that we are talking from a team member, and this is like a recent thing that has happened. So we are in recruiting and we deal with a lot of data. Thousands of people apply, and there are reporting that we do. So there is a team that we have of 4 or 5 people who does a centralized reporting for the group, and there is a junior most person in that group, and suddenly he's become the talk of the town. Like the global leadership calls that we were having, and we were talking about him, where I was asking that, now I am asking, he was from my team, and now I'm asking, can he spend some time with me because I need his help? Now, when we were talking about top talent, this is how top talent is changing. Who's he? He's the same guy who's part of the data management group or an MIS reporting person, where we have 4 or 5 people, and we have manager, senior manager, but he is the associate level, let's say the junior most person here. And what he has started is, with all the tools that the organization is providing, he's learning on his own. I think the game changer here is the thought process, the curiosity. Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to adapt? And now he has automized most of his reporting that he was doing, so he has bandwidth. And what I am doing now with him is asking him to come to my group, a group of people that are working with me, and not build solution for them, but think through, sit with them, and help them to build it. You don't give me the solution directly. Push them to think through how you have been thinking for the same reporting to automate, because the thought process does not exist. The tools are there. The data remains the same, but there are people who are able to use it better, analyze it better, look at different options, and present the story better. I think that's how it is all coming together. So they suddenly become the top talent.
Absolutely, that's a great point. I'm happy that all the panelists have alluded to the fact that AI is certainly a productivity partner, and that's one of the core skills. I hear the other panelists or the panel before us also talking, or some of the speakers. It is easy to come up with a one course which can have all humanities, science, and commerce. But I don't know how many of us have tried hiring from an institute which have tried these pedagogy. So even we as a TA professional or organizations are still evolving in terms of how to absorb this, and a lot of onus does lie on us in terms of how best we can train them in our own capability centers to bring them to speed. But yes, it seems to be the order of tomorrow in terms of how talent will be groomed, and it will be domain or stream agnostic, but it will be eventually, as one of the panelists said, that eventually the role that will exist for tomorrow is only going to be problem solvers. So that brings me to one of the other important questions for TA professionals again. And Megha, I would like to ask this question to you. As AI becomes deeply embedded in hiring, where should technology enhance recruiter decision making, and where should human judgment remain non-negotiable? How do we ensure that in our pursuit of efficiency, we don't lose the human ability to recognize potential beyond what's visible in the data?
This is a very important question. I think this is an evolving phase that we all are in. And I think AI does not sit outside. I think we are looking at it as something which is coming from outside. What we all need to understand is the terminology that the industry is using widely is human-led AI enabled. So there is no way the human leadership is going anywhere. The human angle is not going. But where does it start? Where does it stop? Where does we leverage AI? And where do we stop? Okay, so I think everybody alluded towards the judgment, so that becomes very important as a critical skill. But I also want to highlight another point. What is AI? AI is learning from us. It's something that learns from the patterns of the past.
True.
What is hiring? Hiring is our investment in the future of the organization, in the talent. So it's a past trend meeting the future. So in between, you will need human intervention, human skills and human judgments, all the experience that we all come with to take that call of hiring that right talent. So I'll take an example. We do hire, all of us, I think, in our roles are hiring veterans who come after servicing the industry, after servicing the country. When they come back to the industry, if we just run a model on the AI for their resumes, they may not find the right fit. So I think that's where we need our human intervention to look through their resumes, to look through their experiences, and find the right fit through the alternative skills that they bring in, the zigzag career, right? That cannot be a model that we can build and it can run from just a structured perspective. But as and when we start doing that more, those patterns will be picked up, and maybe that can also become a part of the model. And I think I would proudly say that, in this kind of scenario where the human plays a very important role, maybe if AI would have taken over and if we are worried, many of us would not be here where we are today. For example, I started my career with lateral recruiting. Then I saw an opportunity and picked up campus recruiting. That opportunity was given to me with the potential that I could show that, I can deliver. So I think that's where human interventions will come, where we are looking at culture, contributions of the individuals that are bringing in, the learning ability or the leadership ability that or the potential the person is bringing in, the management of the ambiguity. I think the change management that we all drive at senior leadership, that all is very important. So I think at that level, human intervention will be definitely important.
Great. Ashwini, when contextual judgment, cultural alignment, and empathy can never be outsourced to data, how would you view this in the light of?
Yeah, no, I think this is a really interesting question because a lot of times what happens is it gets misconstrued that, when we look at a profile, when we get a resume, it's a certain set of skill sets or certain CGPAs or certain streams that we look at. Surely it's important. I'm not going to say it doesn't take away from the importance of the background of the candidate or the institute the candidate is coming from, etc., or the projects he or she has been engaged with. But where the human intervention does come in is it goes beyond the code. It actually hits the core, right? And I would say that it's about calibration, right? The human intervention comes in to calibrate what is a capability, what is a potential, and what's the actual static skill that we're looking at. And that calibration, as much as AI is engulfed and is evolving and is beginning to supersede a lot of other processes from a talent acquisition or from an HR point of view, I think the fact of calibration of what a capability is and what a potential is something only a human can do. And we have, at Microsoft as well, there is a very strong team that is actually sitting there and trying to build that kind of a muscle with the hiring managers and with the business to be able to distinguish what is a capability. So we have a candidate who can operate AI, and which is fantastic. But that's not going to cut it for us. We're not looking for that. We're looking for somebody who can partner with AI. We're not looking for somebody who can clear a code or write a really strong SQL code today for us. We're looking for somebody who can actually build tomorrow. And these are not just theoretical sentiments or philosophical liners that emulate our vision as a company or as a fraternity or as an industry. These are the actual core capabilities that we are housing today and that we want to build our muscle on, and I speak for myself as well. So it is an evolving journey, but I don't think AI can replace a human because there are certain set of agentic behaviors that AI is meant to do and which we all are encouraging of. And Microsoft being a frontier organization in that space, of course, is taking the lead on that. But there is a huge chunk of activities which can only be best managed by the capable hands of a recruiter. So.
Awesome. I love the word that you use, calibration is where the key is. I remember at Newgen Software Technologies, Mr. Diwakar Nigam, founder, made it very easy for us, and that continues to hold true for us in terms of there's no, doing away from the fact that eventually the person that we would hire has to be absolutely good human being, and there's no non-negotiable asset. And that continues to guide us in the age of AI as well. And I do understand when you and me talk about and the confidence that we try and give from this panel to the academia there, that there's going to be no replacement of talent that is coming out from academia to the companies, and AI will be partner in many ways. But we also hear news wherein because of the enhanced absorption of AI, there's also optimization of talent that is happening across the organization. But I love the optimism in the room, and maybe we are still evolving to this fact, and we still have to figure out new potential, new horizons as far as the human utilization at a corporate is. So moving on to my last of the questions here is, in the future, the role of HR and TA leaders is clearly expanding. And how is it expanding? We're still discovering that among ourselves. It is no longer about just filling roles faster. It is about anticipating skills. It is about enabling business transformation and using AI responsibly and building future-ready organization. Ambily, in your view, what are the leadership capabilities that will separate high-impact HR and TA teams from the rest?
Okay, I'll try and keep this short. We're standing in between lunch and the time that we have. But the shift that you just mentioned, Alvin, to me is a transition from transactional HR to architecture HR, right? What that necessarily means is from processing tickets, solving for requisitions, to actually being able to build capabilities within the business, right? So to me, the top 4 capabilities that will set apart this leadership team would, 1, be AI acumen, getting fluent with AI and also being able to scale it within the larger teams. The second for me and most important is relationship building, and not just limited to relationship with our clients or stakeholders, but also being able to become a great people manager with high empathy, right? The third one, of course, is business acumen, so that we as an HR function can co-create solutions for the business. And the last one is what Vishal had alluded to around adaptability. So how do leaders, lead the change that we are talking about, the change that will eventually land with the transition within HR. So yeah, Alvin, I can just think of 4 of those.
Great. Ruksa, with your dealing with IMEA and Turkey, how would you view that at a macro level?
So, as talent acquisition, I think just like everybody else, we are also learning on the go. And like she rightly said, I would probably build on that. A lot of this would be possible for us as talent acquisition leaders if we are much, much closer to the business. We understand our businesses, we understand what the organization is doing, and then draft solutions for them rather than saying that, hey, I'm talent acquisition, I know what to do. Customizing your leadership, your solutions on the basis for your organization actually needs. So imagine if I'm not planning to, but if I move away from ABB, my talent acquisition solutions or leadership should shift according to the business that I join. So I would say getting much, much closer to the business, anticipating their needs as a leader that, hey, they are not able to realize it because you may see coming from business leader, I need this tomorrow. But as a function, using available data analytics to foresee, predict what kind of skills, what kind of business needs are coming. So much more closer to the business will probably lead you to success in my eyes, and it has done that historically. I'm not going to repeat, but she covered quite a few important points that I've covered that in the first question, that make AI foundation as an organization. So in the organization, so whether it is talent acquisition, whether it is anybody, there needs to be a certain level of skill that every employee should have with AI, and that includes your talent acquisition. How many of your transactions are manual transactions today? How much of you can you automate, make agent driven for your own teams as talent acquisition, and get that bandwidth from them to have a more qualitative conversation so they can focus on something that's real value add, right? Apart from that, I think being agile like everybody else, picking up new skills, picking up the technology, the AI, and leveraging what is available, changing yourself, driving that change management, and ensuring that you are in mid of it. You're not leaving yourself behind and not letting your team stay behind. I still see organizations using AI for probably email drafting. Some of your employees you would see are only, but you are moving forward, but is your team coming along with you? So she did mention on the empathy and people management, but part of your leadership would also be bringing them along. They're dependent on you. The development is also on you. While everybody owns their own careers, the development also depends on what direction do you show them. So not repeating of what we have discussed, but I think a lot of it remains same for talent acquisition as it remains for the candidate. So you have to be proactive, leverage AI, have the foundation, be and always keep a lookout on potential. You know, we've spoken about in tech we see potential, or in product, let's say positions we are seeing potential, but what about talent acquisition? Are you hiring people from outside of talent acquisition in your organization just to have that different experience? So keeping yourself open to different experiences is what I would say as a leader.
That's a great point. Actually, going by the fact that we at Newgen took a liberty of, rebranding talent acquisition function as talent strategy. And as all of us recall, we've learned from the mistakes of others, wherein businesses are more willing to hire talent here and now, rather than planning in terms of if they have a requirement in a month's time, they will give you the position just before that. So great points, actually. So if I would like to, manifest, imagine all the same panel sitting here in 2031. 2031, and Anshuman, you got the clue.
I will not be probably in talent acquisition. Just probably zigzag.
But as a talent thinker, we would like to block a seat for 2031 Momentum. And we would like to, in terms of what will fundamentally be different about how organizations identify, assess, and hire talent in an AI-first world. How do you see that? And this is open for all the panels. We can just take one minute on each.
I would say that AI would no longer be like a topic of every conversation by the time we are there.
Okay.
Hopefully it gets as common as Excel, like I said.
It's like a business as usual.
Something new instead of talking about AI at that point.
I can maybe add on. I think we will maybe shift from hiring candidates based on what they know to how they can orchestrate along with AI, right? Like, I still feel that AI will be part of the conversation. So I think that's the shift I anticipate.
In my view, I think while AI being a technology itself, maybe next 2 or 4 years, both organization as well as candidates, they will be much more selective, much more connected. We won't have to go through a long process of posting jobs or interviewing or other related aspects. People would be able to aware where to go, whom to connect, and eventually remove multiple layers between these two parties. That's how I assume it.
For me, where I think is, it will be more about skilling, which has already started at the core. So skilling will become like you need to come with a very strong skill that you bring onto the table that adds value. plus reskilling will become very important, learn, relearn, because everything will keep evolving at a very fast pace, which I think as a generation we have already seen, but I think the pace will increase. So all of us who are there, I think adaptability will be the core of it, and reskilling ourselves at the every core of change, because the change, as per the World Economic Report that we were reading, I think 40% of the skills will not exist after 5 years. So if we talk about
Absolutely.
2030, then most of the skills that we are relying on right now as a core may not even exist. So we will have to keep reskilling ourselves continuously.
Ashwini?
Well, I take it as a huge compliment, even if I'm here at 2031, so I'll start with that. But I think with a decade or now, more couple of years from now, right, talent acquisition is going to change. It's not about the AI, it's not about skill alone, it's not about the capabilities, and it's not about the mindset alone. And surely that's going to see evolution as we speak. And as I think in the previous panel discussion it was mentioned, every hour we're seeing an evolution. And that's going to happen. The only change I see is going to happen more aggressively and more fast-paced. But do I see a differentiator a couple of years down the line, in 2031? I think the structural, systematic process of acquiring talent and identifying talent, that is going to change. It's about the how of it, of course, and it's the skills and the capabilities, but it's the means to get to what the organization wants. So I don't think it's going to be more of the business wants this and the business unit wants this, so let's go and hire this talent. I think that's going to go through a structural, fundamental, conceptual change. So we can expect more to come, of course, but I think we're already seeing that direction happen in multiple quarters with talent acquisition. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be acquisition anymore.
Yeah, because of constant urge of predicting future, but we never know what we may hit into. Today we are talking of AI, tomorrow we'll be talking about quantum or some phantom in the room. Something else may emerge which we are not talking as of now. I remember one of the things that will, considering the fact that, the education will become more generic and, people will be studying, I think internal mobility of talent will become a huge chunk of positions getting filled. And I think campuses will always be there because a lot of talent will get pumped in through campus and will get recalibrated in the organization and will be deployed again. But internal mobility may take a major pie of hiring within the organization. And with that, it brings to the end of our session. And I'm very happy that the kind of discussion that we had and the kind of pointers that we all alluded to the fact that AI is here to stay. Be it the campuses, and no matter how hard we try, the alpha generation is getting used to it, and it is becoming a second thing that they become comfortable after machines. So we got to understand that AI is going to stay that, and we need to create our ecosystems around that reality for sure. The other very important aspect I would like to mention, we need more players like HirePro. And I would like to give kudos to the way, I remember when I was here in 2024, there was a lot of action insights that were discussed. And when I here today, there are a lot of things that is now becoming tangible action points. Surprisingly, why we still need HirePro as a mediator between academia and industry, but I think let's give it up for HirePro for playing that significant role in bringing these two worlds together and creating something that will make a difference. So thank you, HirePro, for bringing everyone there. I think eventually AI is changing the nature of work, we all know that, but the human element remains the absolute center of it. And I think with that thought, I would like to mention a Satya Nadella quote where he said, at the end of the day, technology is just a tool. It's about human ingenuity and human passion that is simply irreplaceable. So let that be shared challenge for both our universities and for the organizations here at Momentum'26 to build a workforce that does not just learn to use the tools, but brings the passion and ingenuity that machines can never replicate. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience. Thank you so much.